live, everybody. Welcome into the Flippin Hippos YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me this evening. It is the first Sunday of August. It's August 4th. Let me say hi to some folks. Hi, Lucille. Rhonda and Amelia are here. Elizabeth. Hello, Heather. And Friday 888. Heather, side note to you. I thought in my head that I had responded to your private message on Facebook about the jeans, and I didn't. It's one of those moments where I totally thought in my head that I responded to you, so in my world it happened, and it didn't really happen. I have to talk it over with Keith, and I will get back to you tomorrow. Pete's here, Greg, and Thrifty Falconer's wife. Hello, welcome in, guys. Welcome in. While we wait for some folks to come in, before I get into the meat of the program tonight, the tough love, I got mail. I'm going to open it. Hey, Paul. Welcome in. So, I don't know who this is from. It showed up at our post office this week. I've been holding on to it for a couple of days. So, whoever sent this, I did have it. I just like to open my gifts live to give the folks a chance who send the stuff to me to see me open it. And so, I've been sitting on it for a couple of days. I didn't go live all this week. It was all pre-recorded information and workshops from eBay Open this week. It's from a P.O. box in Michigan City, and I do have a last name, but I don't want to give it out just in case they don't want their last name given out. But it is from Michigan City. It's a P.O. box. If they want to remain anonymous, that's awesome too. Heather says not a problem. I don't know about you guys, but I do that all the time. I'll read somebody's text, or I'll listen to a voicemail, or I'll read a message, or I'll read an email, and in my head, I formulate or write my response, what I'm going to say to them. And then, just because I thought about it, I guess I think I sent it. And in my world, it's a real thing that happened. And then, days later, I'll go back through and be like, oh my God, I never texted Keith's sister back from a week ago. I'm so rude. I don't do it on purpose. I think I just invent things in my head. Hey, Elsie, welcome in. So, I'm opening mail that came to our post office. Our post office box is public. It's actually in the description box down below. So we do get quite a bit of stuff there. Usually nice things. Oh my goodness, I can see it's cute. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so cute. Oh my God, would you look at that? I'm gonna try to read it. I feel like my eyes are rolled. It's Ringling, Barnum, and Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. And I really remember somebody showing this to me in the group. And I can't remember who it was. There's no card. If this was from you, please let me know so I can thank you properly. I could put a photo of her. This is a her. It's got to be a her. No, maybe it's a him. I think it's a him. I will put a photo of this hippo online, and I can tag you, and I can thank you properly. This is just the cutest thing. My son is trying to sneak by and not be on camera. He's going to walk behind me. There he goes. This is so stinking cute, you guys. And you can see it's from the circus. I'm torn. Part of me wants to actually, use this to drink from. And the other half is like, no, put it on your shelf and just look at his face. He's cute. So thank you so much. Whoever it was, take credit. Let me know so I can thank you. This is so cute. It's purple too, which if you guys don't know by now, purple's my favorite color in all the whole wide world. I did say hi to Elsie. There's Grand Larceny. Welcome in. I Run Amok is Holly, one of my mods. Glad to see you. And the Happy Gingers. Good evening. So, here's the thing. We're going to get into it tonight. And I'm going to talk about some things that are going to be really, really tough for some of you to hear. I'm going to talk about some things that are going to be hard for some of you to accept. And I'm going to tell you what my father used to tell me growing up. If somebody is talking about something in general, and you take offense to it, or you feel defensive about what they're saying, that means you're guilty. So if I start talking and you don't feel any kind of way, if you don't feel any type of way and you're like, oh, well, that's not me, then it's probably not about you. But if anything I touch upon tonight touches a sore spot within you and you get mad at me, that's okay. You can be mad. You can have your opinions. You can voice your opinions. You can think differently than me. That's great. But what I really want to let you know is if you feel that twinge, if you feel some kind of way towards me, if you feel guilty, if it makes you feel defensive or like you need to go on the offensive, then you are probably guilty of doing these things and you should not be doing these things. Or doing some of the things that you're not doing. I am pretty well known for my tough love by now. I would hope that you guys expect that from me. 100% honesty, 100% transparency, and I tell you how it is, and I give you the tough love when you need it. And I think y'all need it. I think I need some too. I was gone for a week for eBay Open. I've been back for a week. We're going to talk a little bit about how I'm also not perfect and the mistakes I've been making, just so you guys can honestly see the real side of me, because I'm not always perfect either. I don't always follow my own advice. I don't always do best practices. Sometimes I sit here and teach you guys how to do something and I go do the opposite because I'm a human being and sometimes I'm a little bit of a butthead. But just the week since I've been back, I've noticed a lot in the groups. Holly, you're always offended. You're offended that it's not Halloween yet. I'm offended that it's not Halloween yet. I'm offended that it's still hot. I am so ready for Halloween and fall. Okay, so what I've noticed in the week I've been back, in a lot of the groups, not just the reselling. What is our group called? The Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod. There you go. My own Facebook group. That's the name. Not just in there. I am actually in a lot of other reselling groups. Most of them I just lurk in. I don't participate all the time. I just go through and read. It's kind of how I keep my fingers on the pulse of the reselling community. I go into all these different Facebook groups and I read what is the chatter today. What are people talking about today? What are people concerned about? What glitches are people looking at? What are people... are sales good, or people talk about sales being down? You know, I just go in these groups and I lurk and I read and I learn and I absorb and I know what all the current events and current concerns are about reselling within the community, and that's how I come up with ideas for the videos. I try to touch upon all those things. I've noticed that people are being lazy, and unfortunately the laziness really doesn't have a reason behind it except that people are being lazy. They're making really bad excuses for their behaviors. They're excusing themselves from working. They're excusing themselves from not putting in the effort. I see a lot of people feeling discouraged. That's not necessarily being lazy. There's like twofold. There's like the lazy people who are making excuses for themselves to be lazy. And then there's people who genuinely are trying really, really hard, and the summer slowdown hit them and they're spinning their wheels in the mud and they're not going anywhere and they feel discouraged, and that causes people to give up as well. So I'm going to start with a confession. Hashtag reseller confessions, guys. I'm not perfect. Like I said, I am also human. I also sometimes get belligerent, kind of, and I'll do what I want. Casey can attest to that. Sydney can attest to that. Colleen can attest to that. And probably even Holly can attest to that. Some of the reseller friends I've made, or reseller family, I consider them very close to me, sometimes will tell me I'm doing something wrong, or I should do something different, or try something new, or do something this way. And I can be very, very stubborn, and I can be very belligerent, and I always dig my heels in and want to say, sorry, wow, I'm selling stuff. Sorry, not sorry. I can dig my heels in sometimes and I get my back up. Like I was talking at the beginning, I get defensive and I want to be on the offensive. And I want to tell Casey, I don't care if you've been doing this for 10 years. This is what works for me, and I'm not trying your way. And I get really belligerent. I've thrown that word around like 4 times, but it's the only word I can think of. Stubborn. And I don't want to listen, and and I do my own thing, and then I fail, and then I realize, I should have listened anyway. And I've had to learn the hard way too. Um, I'm very, I guess it's because I'm such a perfectionist and I have such an obsessive compulsive disorder to do things in a specific way, in a specific manner, in a specific order. These are my routines. This is how I do it. You're not going to tell me any different. That's me. And I'm going to tell you guys 98% of the time, my friends and family in the reseller world were right. One of the biggest examples I can give you, I hope Sydney is watching or Sydney comes back for the replay because I really got to hands down give it to Sydney. She gave me some tough love last October in Florida because I didn't want to share Poshmark 3 times a day. I didn't want to. I didn't feel like I needed to. I was above that. And when I finally started listening to Sydney and implementing the Poshmark changes, you guys have seen the videos on this channel when my Poshmark was on fire and we were making all the sales. It's because I listened to Sydney and I did what she recommended. I've talked also about last year when we dropped a ton of items out of our store and just got rid of them. I wanted to keep them and sell them because I'd already put the work into them and I was being stubborn and they were just crap and they were pulling down our conversion rates and they were pulling down our traffic. And when I finally said, okay, fine, Casey, I'll try it, my sales went up. So sometimes when you hear resellers in the community, the social media influencers, the folks that are on Instagram or run the Facebook groups or are sitting here on YouTube talking to you, I understand sometimes you're going to look at me and be like, no, you're wrong, star. I do it my way and it's worked this way for 20 years and I don't want to try anything different. I understand that mindset because I have that mindset and I sometimes don't want to listen to my friends. Holly's given me advice before on certain things to source for and I'm like, whatever. Okay, but then I finally source it and I sell a certain particular pair of pants she told me to look out for like $50. So, I get that sometimes you guys don't want to listen to me. I understand that you want to argue with me and you want to think I'm wrong. But I just want to put it out there that sometimes you have to get over yourself and take the advice, not just from me. But if you hear me and 5 other resellers saying, share your Posh Closet 3 times a day, or if you hear me and 2 other eBay sellers saying, free shipping on first class will get you more sales in fourth quarter, if you consistently hear a lot of the influencers and the YouTubers giving the same advice over and over, and these are people that you trust, that you think are transparent or honest, and you know are successful, and then you may want to just get over yourself and listen. I have to do it too. Okay, that's the number 1 confession I wanted to tell you about. Number 2, I'm lazy sometimes too. Now, I have a legitimate excuse, but I can't use my legitimate excuse as an excuse when it shouldn't be an excuse. Does that make sense? You guys know I have a bad back. I have chronic pain. I struggle every day just to do this job with a disability. I have rearranged our work area, the way we do photos. You guys know I talk about all the time. I do a lot sitting down, and we've had to accommodate that. Just like anyone who's handy capable, you find ways to work around your disabilities and still be successful. And there are days where legitimately my pain level is so bad, I do have to take a pain pill and lay down on my heating pad and take a nap. But it's very easy to fall into the trap of allowing the back pain to be an excuse, and I can't let that happen. So I have to learn the difference between the days when it's legitimately, I can't work today, I am in pain, and days where, my pain's not that bad, I can truck through this isn't really that bad, I can work through it, I just have to accommodate myself, maybe take breaks every 20 minutes, maybe sit down to work, maybe do something a little bit easier than taking photos, maybe I just sit at the computer and list today, and tomorrow when I have a good day, I'll take extra photos. But I want to put that out there because I would never, ever, ever tell anyone who has any kind of chronic pain, disability, or struggling with any kind of mental health that's not a legitimate excuse sometimes to not be able to function. I understand. Anxiety, I have anxiety too. I don't have it as bad as some folks, but I know that it can take over your world. It can eat your entire world. Migraines can eat your entire world. Depression, bipolar, obsessive compulsive disorder, you get stuck in a rut where you're trying to be perfect. If you have any kind of chronic pain, fibromyalgia, a bad back, a bad knee, a bum elbow, all of those things are 1000% acceptable sometimes to tell yourself, today is not the day. I cannot do it. I am in too much pain, or I am struggling mentally too hard. My emotions are too big today, and all I'm going to do is sit here and cry because I didn't succeed, or I didn't get anything done. If it's going to get to that, if you have mental health issues where you're going to get to the point where you're beating yourself up like that and you're just discouraged at yourself, you need to take a break. You do. Because you don't want to make yourself feel worse than you already do. But on the other hand, you also need to learn, when are the days that I can truck through it? When are the days that I can just get through it? When are the days that aren't so bad? And if I just pull myself out of bed, or put myself to a task, or start something, I can actually finish it and get through it. You've got to learn the difference, and you can't lean on your disabilities as an excuse to never work. See, I want to tread very carefully because I don't want to offend anyone, because I understand it. I have chronic pain. I'm in pain right now. But there's a difference between it actually being a day where you cannot function, whether it's physically or mentally, and that's understandable, and falling into this routine where you're used to falling back on that as a reason to not want to work. Because on the other hand, there's days where your pain levels aren't bad, or your anxiety is a little bit lower than normal, or you're not as depressed as usual. And sometimes on those days when you just jump on in and you get started, you can go pretty far and get a lot done, and you will actually end up feeling better about yourself at the end of the day. So don't be using your excuses as excuses when they shouldn't be excuses, if that makes sense. And I'm going to touch upon this one a little bit, and I feel like some of you might be offended, but that's okay. Too many people are using their kids as excuses too. Now, I understand when you have a baby or toddlers at home, it's going to be harder to work from home and you're going to have more distractions. But that's not an excuse at all for you to just day after day after day never do any work, never get things done because you're just blaming your kids all the time. Because not all kids need attention 1000% of the time. And the best example I can give you guys for that is Megan Mawhinney. If you're not familiar with Megan Mawhinney, she has a toddler and a baby, and she makes 6 figures a year gross on eBay just selling used clothing. And she built it up by herself. She quit her job to do it full time. Now she has employees, or she did. She recently moved from Washington to Texas because her husband's in the Army. Most of you are familiar with her. She has a YouTube channel where she vlogs and talks about her life and her recent move. But when she lived in Washington, she actually built her business up to a point where she could pay someone to do her photos. And she was making enough, profit that she was paying someone for photos. She was doing all the sourcing, and she was listing 50 to 100 items a day on her own with 2 kids. Even when she was pregnant, she was working 12-hour days. And her husband, let me reiterate, is in the Army, and he's not home a lot. He's often deployed, and Megan's there alone with 2 kids. And she has told her story on Casey's channel, and she's told her story on this channel. She's been a guest here twice, where she has days, Sundays were 99 cents day at the Goodwills for her in Washington, just like ours here. And her husband wasn't there, and she would legitimately pack a baby and a toddler up in the car, go to the first Goodwill, get about 100 items, take them home, change the baby's diaper, feed the kids a snack, put them back in the car, go to the second Goodwill, rinse and repeat. She would go to about 4 Goodwills with stops in between at home to give the kids snacks and change diapers and let them have naps if they needed it. And she did it all by herself with 2 children. That's kind of why when I hear people say, but I have kids, I'm like, it's not really an excuse, because Megan Mawhinney is so successful and makes so much money and has 2 kids with a husband who's often not home because he's deployed off protecting our country. So I don't think kids are they're an excuse at times. Absolutely. There's days Megan doesn't get as much done as other days. but she still managed to make it work with 2 kids. So if you have kids at home, I guess what I'm trying to say is you've got to learn how to work around them the way Megan does. She works during nap times. Maybe she stays up an hour later or gets up an hour earlier. I know she said sometimes when she gets up for feedings in the middle of the night, she'll stay up for a half hour and list 2 things from drafts or something. If you really want this to work, if you really want to be dedicated and make a 6-figure income gross, like her, you have to have that kind of dedication. I'm going to pause for a minute and just take a look at the chat. I have 3 items. Yeah, sometimes you just have to let things go. I'm very stubborn on that. You guys know about my 99-cent clearance because I want my money back and I don't want to just get rid of it. And Holly's right. Health issues make it harder, but if you're determined and you're dedicated, they don't have to make things impossible. If you're disabled or whatever, it does not have to be impossible. It's just harder for us. We have to find ways to make it work. We have to be dedicated on the days we feel great. So on the days we feel like poop, we can go feel like poop and not beat ourselves up for it. Starting is absolutely the hardest part a lot of days. A lot of days starting is the hardest part. You just got to jump in and go. And that is why I tell you guys all the time, please have routines. Please have to-do lists. Please have bullet journals and diaries and pieces of notebook paper, whatever you need. But if you have a to-do list every single day and you're following the same routine every single day, after 30 days, anything becomes a habit. So if you can force yourself through to-do lists and writing it down and using timers, whatever you have to do, if you can force yourself to do a work schedule for 30 days, it will become a habit after the 30 days, and then it becomes routine. And you almost just get up and go on autopilot, and you'll just fall into the work. Meryl says she dug her heels in about offering free shipping, but it has resulted in more sales. Not necessarily higher profit margin, but more sales volume. That makes sense. At the end of the day, too, you do have to do what is best for you, your business model, your cost of goods, and what's available in your area. Not everyone can build a volume-based business up the way Megan Mawini did or like ours, because we have access to 99-cent items. If you don't have access to 99-cent items, you clearly don't want to be stocking up on the mall brand you're going to sell for $20 to $25 in volume because you don't have the room for the profit. Holly says, I found having multiple projects going helps. When my brain wanders from the task at hand, if there's something else productive that you can do, absolutely. And I always talk about like work while you work. So, for instance, the best example I can give is in the kitchen, not even reselling. So if you're in the kitchen and you're cooking and you're preparing a meal and something has to simmer for 20 minutes or something has to go in the crock pot for half hour, whatever, you're boiling noodles, start your dishes. I learned that from Fly Lady. But if you clean as you go, if while something's on the stove simmering, you can put the clean dishes from last night away, start the dishes, start loading the dishwasher. By the time the dinner's over with, you're already 75% through cleaning your kitchen, and it's not as hard to do. So if you can multitask throughout the day, if you got 10 minutes to kill before your favorite YouTuber goes live, or you're a YouTuber and you have 20 minutes before you go live, can you list a couple of items in those 20 minutes? Can you go respond to social media? Can you do a couple of listings? It's all about using your time wisely. You want to use every minute of the day for something productive. And that does include downtime, because you have to have me time and you have to have downtime. You have to have breaks. If you enjoy reading, every couple of hours, take a break, read for 15 minutes. Read at your lunch break. If you like watching shows, let yourself enjoy a show while you share your Posh Closet. No harm in that. If you like music, play it while you're taking photos and sing and dance. But every minute of the day should be you should either be doing something with your family or your friends, something for yourself, that's self-care or self-love, or something productive for your business. Even downtime is important. If you have a newborn and you sit and read to the newborn, or you breastfeed and you're bonding, that's important. And that's, important time. But like I don't even sit really and watch TV unless I'm also sharing Posh. When I do go to the movies, I go with Keith and my kid, and that's like our bonding family time. So, but it's all about using your time wisely. Like, if you ever find yourself idle, what can you be doing? Could you be reading a book? Could you be watching a movie? Could you be working on something? Could you be talking to a friend that maybe hasn't heard from you in a while? Connecting with your mom, call her, you know what I mean? Megan Mawiney is Meganmawiney. I'm pretty sure I spelled her last name wrong. I always forget her first name. We'll get it for you. Gary Smith, Hippos lady, I'm great. You guys have a party to go back to. Go back to your party. You don't want to listen to me. Gary, I'm 41. I'm old. Hi, Donatella. Welcome in. Thank you for coming. Yeah, you can break down into 2 to 3 hour time slots 3 times a day with breaks. So Elizabeth has Parkinson's, and she's absolutely, that is amazing, learned how to work with it. Learned how to work around it. That's really awesome, Elizabeth. And you have to figure, and I know I have said this before, so this is going to be something I've already said, and I'm repeating myself, but you have to find the niche for you. Some people need a 9 to 5 to be productive. Some people are better at night. So some people, Casey, Robert, if you guys know Robert, the zombie bargain hunter, they sleep in late in the morning and they are really productive, like on that second shift into the night. Some people need to go to bed early and get up and work a 9 to 5. Some people work best in spurts, so you can get up, work a couple hours, take the afternoon off, work a couple hours, take the evening off with your family, and then work a couple hours before bed. You just have to find where you're best. Like, where do you function best? Where do you need to sleep? When is your brain the most awake? How can you work around your family, your friends, and your other obligations? And just kind of figure out how to fit it all in. But using, your kids or any other obligations or illnesses or anything like that as an excuse to not work doesn't fly with me. Doesn't. Because your kids don't need you 24 hours a day. They really don't. They probably need you about 20 hours a day when they're infants. But I just feel like because we're our own bosses and we do what we want, we run our own businesses, we can absolutely work at any time that we need to around our family. We didn't have that ability when we worked outside of the house. Remember when you guys had to get up on an alarm every morning and get ready by a certain time and leave the house by a certain time and commute, and you had to be somewhere else on somebody else's time clock, and you had to clock in on time or you were in trouble, and then you had to stay there for the whole 8 hours before you were allowed to clock out? We don't have to do that anymore. So if you're finding excuses to not work because you just can't fit in a 9 to 5, then find a way to make it work and stop making excuses. Find little chunks of time where you can work, because you can. You don't have to clock in and out anymore. I think a lot of people still have that mindset. And then some people go the other route, too much freedom, and they won't work. Some people, they try to work in a little bit of chunks and spurts, won't work at all, and they just become very lazy because they need that structure. I have to clock in at 9. I need to leave at 5. So you just have to find where you need to be. Holly reads at the gym and watches TV. Yeah, back in the day before I was injured, I used to go to the gym and ride the stationary bike and read a book. It was like the only time I got to read. My kids were really little. That's a good idea, swimmerization. When you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, to share for 10 or 5 minutes. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I check my news feed, and just really quickly, if anybody has liked anything, I send out offers, because I'm on East Coast. So if I wake up in the middle of the night, like at 2 in the morning to pee, it's like 11 o'clock out in California. Someone might have just liked something, and I might send an offer, and it's that impulse buy. So I always check my news on Posh, and if I had any new likes come in, I take advantage of the fact that I'm 3 hours ahead of the West Coast, and I send out offers. And I also lay in bed the same. Like when I first wake up in the morning, I work for like a half an hour to 45 minutes in the bed doing social media in my Posh Closet. I like that. It gives me time to wake up. I don't have to worry about, an alarm and jumping up and being ready like I used to. Yeah, that's how you spell my Winnie. Donatella needs to go to bed early and get up early. Yeah, I try. Small side note. I try to go to bed early, and I will lay there until 4 in the morning reading. So, everyone's different. You gotta find what works for you. Gary says she looks like a teenager and lives, advises like your wisest grandma. That's very sweet, thank you. Especially the part about looking like a teen. Now I'm 41. I just had really good parents. I had really good parents who did a really good job instilling a lot of work ethic in me and pride in what I do. From the time I was a little kid, I had to work for everything. If I wanted an extra, if I wanted to go do something or have money, I had to do a chore that was equivalent. And I've done the same with my kids. So hopefully they'll be like me, right? Never just sit and wait for anything. Yes, Holly, so correct. And that is the beautiful part about Poshmark over eBay, you guys. Poshmark can be done anywhere. If you wait in line at school to pick up your kids and you're in that car line, share your Posh. You're at the doctor's office, share your Posh. If you're 10 numbers behind at the deli at the grocery store and you're waiting, share your Posh. I mean, you can share your Poshmark anywhere. Keith drives most everywhere we go because I'm almost always on pain medication for my back, and I try to be responsible and not drive. And I try to do Poshmark and offers on eBay and stuff while he's driving. So absolutely, Posh is like one of those things. If you've got your phone and you're waiting somewhere, you can be working on Posh. And then you feel like you never work Posh. Because if you don't actually sit down at home to do it and you're doing it on the go, kind of like, it doesn't even feel like work. Grandma Star. You see me, no you don't. You either see me when I'm still up or you see scheduled posts coming through Donatella. You can schedule posts when you're a group admin. And a lot of times if I'm 3 in the morning and I'm still fighting insomnia and or back pain and I'm still awake and I know I'm going to be sleeping in tomorrow because I'm up, I will schedule the daily posts, like I don't know, we do a different theme post in my group every day where people get to participate, sharing their social media, sharing their shipping, sharing their YouTubes and stuff like that. You can schedule those. So I will schedule mine to come out at like 7 a.m. Eastern, but I'm not awake when that happens. It's just scheduled. I schedule actually a lot of my social media, Instagram, Facebook. So you guys may see me active in a group. I shouldn't play stickers. You guys may see me active in a group or posting, but I'm not really. It's just scheduled. I'm drinking. Yeah, I've got this. Usually I'm on water all day, and I allow myself one soda with dinner, except on the weekend, but I needed something today. I'm dragging. I never post to Facebook with Poshmark. I just share 3 times a day per Sydney. I'm your new mama. Hi, Bill and David. Welcome in. I know, I just pick stuff up around me, and yeah, I schedule them. So, you guys, I'm not up at 7. Okay, so we talked about me sometimes being lazy and belligerent and all that. I'll admit last week I didn't get a lot done. Briefly, I'm going to mention this because I don't want to get into it and talk about it. I'm probably going to do a whole video about it, and it could probably take up an hour of its own. Something happened on the back end. Let me get a pen. That's probably safer. I like to point. Something happened on the back end, and our shipping is really weird. On any post that I've been ending to put back in from good till canceled and tweak, and new things. I don't know what's going on. Our shipping is really, really weird in the back end, and I can't. It was really frustrating to me. Oh, thank you so much for the $3.99 super chat, Bill. Did you see your dancing hippo? She danced just for you. So I was, number one, I was really jet lagged all week. And if you think I'm crazy, Google it. I Googled it. If you are coming back from somewhere or going somewhere that's ahead of time, your jet lag can last longer. It's set up to a month. I hope not, because I still feel kind of. But I did Google it because all last week I was groggy. I was foggy in the head. I was laying awake until 3 in the morning. Then I was awake at 6:30, and then I was back in bed by 9. Slept till 1. My whole schedule was messed up. I was tired. I was foggy. So I Googled it, and it said it can last for like up to a month. I hope not. But between I was just, I was out of my routines. I was tired. I couldn't adjust to the time. I had just come off of a week of nothing but fun and absolutely no work or responsibility. Coupled that in with all the shipping stuff that's going on, I'm like, ugh. I got really frustrated, and I was only listing like 3 to 5 things a day on eBay, and then I was just giving up. I did do a lot more videos than I normally do. So, I mean, it kind of balanced out. Like, I would give up on eBay. I was sharing Posh more, cross-posting to Posh more and doing more videos, kind of making up for me just being over eBay. But tomorrow's a new week, so... Alright, we're going to briefly touch upon a couple more bullet points because we're about halfway through the show, and I wanted to get through this list with you guys. So, it is hard to stay motivated when you're in pain or you're sick. There's a lot of distractions around you. When you have a lack of support, if you don't have clear goals or you're not clearly marking your progress to see how much you've done. And if you're discouraged, whether it's slow sales, it's taking you longer to get monetized on YouTube than you thought, your Instagram isn't growing, whatever it is that's discouraging you. Those are all things that can slow you down and really wipe you out and just take that motivation away from you. It's easier to stay motivated when the money's rolling in and the cha-chings are happening. When you start selling in volume or you start selling really high profit items, that obviously makes you feel good and gives you that kind of high. And it's easy to be motivated and say, well, I'm going to go list more because this is exciting. Look at me. I'm making money. If you feel great, if you don't have any chronic mental health issues or pain issues with your body, or if you do but you're having a good day, those are the days when it's easy to stay motivated. It's easy to stay motivated when you have a lot of support. And when you keep track of your goals, when you have a clear goal, a clear tracking from this is the big goal I want to achieve and these are all the small goals along the way. And you can see where you're at, you're tracking your progress, it's easy to stay motivated. If you can see that you're $100 closer to paying off your car note every week. If you can see your 100 listings closer to your goal of 1,000 every week. It's easier to stay motivated because you can see your growth, you can see your progress, and you know what you're working for. But here's the thing. It isn't always going to be easy, and in fact, it's hardly ever going to be easy. I tell you guys that all the time. This job is not glamorous. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to go to the thrift store once and then have 6 figures in a Batmobile and a mansion. This job is anything but glamorous. It can be downright really gross sometimes. It can be hard work. Hard. And you have to really bust your ass every single day. And you have to work, and you have to be dedicated. You have to want it. You have to be hungry for that success, or it is not going to happen. It is really not easy, and it's hardly ever easy. And you guys can probably understand this, the highs and lows, the roller coaster of online sales. You know, you can sell $800 today, $11 tomorrow. 20 packages, 2. $1,000, $1. You know, not $1, but that up and down, that's our emotions as resellers too. Every single day, as a reseller, you are going to be, oh my God, I'm so close to my goal. Low ball offer. Woohoo, I made some money. Oh, I went sourcing and found nothing. That's our life. Reselling is not just a job, it is a lifestyle. And you are going to have these highs and these lows all day long, every single day. The trick is to get the emotions out of it and just learn to ride them as they come. Understand that they're coming, understand why they're there, understand how to ride them out, and just keep going. I want to come back to a saying you guys have probably heard. Holly, she says, yeah, no Batmobile for you. The saying I wanted to tell you guys have probably heard it, and I'm probably going to butcher it and not quote it correctly, but the saying is to do what no one else will for a while so you can live like no one else can for the rest of your life. It's kind of like what we have to keep in mind. And back to the hard to stay motivated. I want to give you guys some pointers on how to help that. So the being in pain or being sick really can't be helped. What you can do with that is just on a good day, focus on doing as much as you can. So if you have a good pain day or a good mental health day, be extra productive. So the next time you have a bad day, it's okay because you've done the extra work. Distractions, you guys got to figure out for yourself how to get rid of them. Do you have to turn the TV off? Do you have to turn the radio off? Do you need the radio on? Some people need noise to work. Some people need music to work. Figure out what is a distraction to you and what will help you work. And then if you have family or whatever that distracts you, maybe you need to get an eBay room or an office where you can shut the door. Maybe you need to work while the kids are napping. And then the lack of support, I think, is the biggest thing that a lot of us deal with, and I really want to touch on that. I'm going to tell you guys 100% honestly, there are folks in Keith's family that don't understand what we do and don't think I work and think I sit on the computer and play around all day. How we pay for our vacations and how we continue to pay our bills and go thrifting, I don't know where that money's coming from because they don't think that this business makes any money. They think that I'm just playing on the computer all day, and there's 100%. There's not 100%. There's 0% support. I'll say 100% not support, but there's 0% support even for us. So what you got to do is build your own family. What you got to do is get active in the reselling community. Reach out, make connections, make friends. Find local resellers close to you that you can connect with. If you're in the Vegas area, I was going to give an example. Katie and Vicky do a meetup out there. Bill and Dave have some really good support on the other side of PA with a group that they're in. You got to build your own family, though. You've got to surround yourself with like-minded folks. If you want support, if you want people to understand what you do, the successes, the trials, the tribulations, the sad days, the bad days, the hard days, the days you can't find crap when you're sourcing and you're so discouraged you can't take it anymore, and the people that are going to celebrate with you when you hit, your goals and you make your money. You've got to build it yourself because 99% of people that aren't resellers, even our own family, sometimes even your own spouse, will never understand and they're never going to support you, and it's just how it is. So you've got to build your own family. Keith and I are very lucky in that we're both in this together. Bill and David are in this together. Casey has Caitlin. Katie has Vicky. She sells resells. Mel and Deb have each other. But a lot of people don't. So you need to get involved in the community. Some way, somehow. And you need to build your own family. If you can't tell, Keith and I have clearly built our own family. You see us talking about, to, and with, and vacationing with the same people over and over again. And that's our family. That's our reselling family, but I would like to think they're just family at this point. Because friends can be family. But you need to build that for yourself. And you need to have clear goals. Okay, so pick a big goal. A Batmobile, a mansion, moving across the country, paying off your car, whatever your big goal is, and then break it down into smaller chunks. So if you need 10,000 to pay off your car and you want to make 100 of that a week, how many listings do you have to make with your profit margins? How much do you have to sell each week? You just have to break it down, do the math, figure it out, and make small goals along the way that you can hit and succeed at, and then towards your bigger goal. And keep track of it. Some people put poster boards up on their wall with markers and pens and stickers. Some people keep scraps of paper. Some people keep bullet journals. But you got to have it somewhere where you're tracking it so you can look at it. So the next time you're discouraged, or the next time you feel like, oh God, I suck at this, I'm never going to succeed, I'm going to go back to work, I hate my job, you can go look and be like, hey, I pay off half my car. Or, hey, I've saved up half of the Batmobile. You know what I mean? You got to have that somewhere where you can look. And then just try not to be discouraged on the days that are slow or the days that are bad. Like I said, you got to learn how to write it. You got to learn to keep the emotions out of the business, number one. I tell you guys that all the time. Emotions have no place in your business. But you're still going to feel the emotions because you're a human. So while we can't just turn them off unless you are a sociopath, you got to learn how to have them and feel them and write them, but not let them affect you or affect your decision making. All of your business decision making needs to be done from a place of logic, a place of no emotion. So all those emotions that you feel that are normal because you're human have to go over here while you make logical decisions and do best business practices with just your brain and no emotions. Let me look in here real quick. I did get your PM, actually, Grand Larceny, and Holly's right. I came back from Vegas and I was buried. I'm working through them. Keith pulled the battery out of the watch last night or Friday night. We're going this week to get a new battery to test it just to make sure it works, and then we'll hit you up. Sometimes friend makes, yeah, I pretty much am down, other than my children that are my actual family. I'm down to Keith and friends. But that, sometimes that's better. So, Better Barbie says, you can watch the replay, that's fine. Make sure you hit the little bell, Better Barbie, so that next time you're notified when I come on live. Some people still have the old school mentality of having a job means going to a building. Yes, that is absolutely true. Some people think if you don't go to a job, to a building, if you work for yourself, you don't really work. And I think there's also the mentality of the older generations that don't understand working on a computer. So to them, if you work on a computer at all, in any capacity, how are you making money? People make people who bring you up closer. Yes, exactly. So people who lift you up, people who want to see you succeed, are the people you need to surround yourself with. I put up a thing on Instagram yesterday that said, if you help your friend climb a mountain, you get to the top too, right? And that's true. So surround yourself with people who are going to climb to the top of the mountain with you, and make sure they're people that when you stumble and fall, they're going to help you up. And then you can help them up when they stumble and fall, and you guys will make it to the top together. There's plenty of room at the top for everybody. I've never understood, there are some resellers who are very competitive and don't want to make those connections or those friendships, and they'll, back to the mountain analogy, they'll kick you down the side of the mountain or shove you over so they can get to the top alone. There's plenty of room at the top. We can all help each other. We all sell different things. We all find different things to thrift. We all source different things. We all live in different areas where we're finding all kinds of different items. Even people who live close to me, I'll help them. I don't care. I feel like there's plenty of room at the top. And for unfortunately, here's some more tough love. Here's some more truth for you guys. Excuse me. I think for like every 100 people, we'll go back to this mountain analogy. the big reseller mountain, right? 100 people that come to this mountain and start the climb to the top. Probably 15 keep going. I mean, every single day there's new resellers coming, and most find out that it is really hard work, and that it's very time consuming, and that it's more than a job, it's a lifestyle. A lot of them give up and don't continue. So I help whoever I can, and if they want to stop climbing and they want to go back down, that's fine too. But anyone that wants to come to the top with me, there's room up there for everybody. There is so much room at the top. We can all be at the top together and enjoying our lives. Dan is at work. All right, hi Dan. Thanks for stopping in just to say hi. Punching at the Goodwill Institute of Success. Shake a hand. Yeah, I like that. Review that. I like that a lot. That's great. I just shared a plush lot with them. I only wanted one and they can have the rest. Teamwork. Yeah, that's kind of like what Casey did for us just before Vegas. When one of his viewers was selling off her inventory, she was a nurse and didn't have time to resell anymore. He's like, I just want the one Robert Graham shirt to wear at Vegas so you guys can have the box. We got some good stuff. So here's the thing. Couple more points I'm going to make in the last 10 or so minutes of the show. If you have questions, now is the time to put them in the chat. Speak now or forever hold your peace. You need to stop making excuses. Whatever your excuses are, if you are making excuses to not work, stop. Because if you don't, you will fail. Let me repeat that. If you don't stop making excuses, you are going to fail. Period. One excuse leads to another, to another, to another, until it's just easy for you to continually make excuse after excuse and slack off all day, every day. How many times have you seen people in the reselling groups? I haven't listed all week because excuse A through Z. I haven't listed in 2 weeks because of excuse D through F. It gets easier, right? Like if you slack off today and didn't share your Posh Closet 3 times, tomorrow you're going to be like, well, I'll just share it twice. I did that yesterday. Maybe Tuesday, I'll just share it once. I mean, it gets easier. The more you slack off and the more excuses you make and the more you find ways out of your work, the more you're going to do it. The easier it's going to get. Let's meet at the top and share some lemonade. Only if it's hard lemonade. Bye, Elizabeth. Have fun listening. Yeah, pay it forward absolutely works everywhere you go. Hi, Laura. Make sure you hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so next time you get a notification when I go live. And you guys can tell I'm now getting a cold. Sorry. So here's the thing. And if this job is not a job to you, if this is a hobby, if this is just something you do for fun, then my next remark is not for you. But if you are serious about this and you want this to be either like a solid part-time job in addition to your other job to make a solid second income, or if you hope to make this your full-time income and quit your job and this is it, you have to work. You can't slack off. You can't make excuses. You're never going to succeed at reselling unless you, again, like I said, are willing to do all the things everyone else isn't. So sometimes you're going to have to skip the party, skip the out to eat, skip the lunch break with your girlfriend. Sometimes you're going to have to stay home from a movie when everyone else goes. Sometimes you're going to have to give up some sleep and stay up late or get up early. You're going to have to make these sacrifices in order to make this a real endeavor that is going to succeed. But then eventually, after you've put in all this hard work and all this dedication and you've made all these sacrifices It will pay off. And then you're going to be in a position where you can go out to eat every week and you can go to the movies and all the parties. Because number one, you're going to have the funds to do it. And number two, you're going to have built your business up to a point where you're just maintaining it. You could still be growing at that point. But in the beginning, you definitely have to just focus and grow and sacrifice and dedicate yourself. And eventually you'll get to a point where you can live that lifestyle and you can do all the things that you want to do. But you have to be willing to work for it. If you don't have, here is, let me look at the chat real quick. We share our closet. That's what Sydney taught us to do. She says it's best practices. She was a Posh consultant at Posh Fest. If you don't know who Sydney is, she's the Posh boss. We share. It's, I guess, Edit Next List will share to the party and your followers at the last party of the night. If you're trying to share your whole closet to your followers and the party, you can Edit Next List and it does both for you. But I usually just share because I do it on the desktop. It's faster for me. My office is the post office. Yeah, Bill says I gave up camping every other week. All right, I have one more very important thing to say to you guys. And it's really tough. Tough love. If you don't have let me not point at you. I gotta stop being 12 years old. Let me get a pen. All right. If you don't have self-motivation, if you don't have a good work ethic, if you do not have the desire or the need or the hunger for this to succeed and be a full-time job supporting you, if you do not have the ability to be your own boss and drive yourself to work even when you don't want to do the things that you don't want to do, then you probably need to go back to working for somebody else. Sorry, that's the truth. If we all did only what we wanted to do all of the time, most of us would probably only source. We would just thrift and have death piles all over our house. You have to have the ability to do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them, and that's being your boss. That's having work ethic. When you work outside of the house, you have to clock in on a clock at a certain time, and you have to stay there for your whole shift, and you have a boss the whole time micromanaging you and telling you what to do. If you can't enable that from yourself at home, you don't belong at home. You don't belong working for yourself, and you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. If you can't drive yourself to succeed and make yourself work and stop making excuses and just start working for your dreams, you probably should just go back to work outside of the house. So, let's see. Yo, hippo, check out YouTube channel Fight Mediocrity. Videos of books about your type of mindset. I'll write that down. I do run, either YouTube videos or shows all day while I work. I'm one of those people that has to have background noise while I work. Sometimes I listen to serial killer podcasts while I work, but I do have to have background noise all the time. So thank you for that suggestion. I did write it down. I'll check it out tomorrow while I am photographing my plush. Yeah, see, Dennis, that's a good drive. Now, I will tell you, I was up until 4:30 in the morning fighting off this head cold. I had a migraine, and I did not go out sourcing Saturday. But that was one of those days where I had to admit to myself, this migraine is killing me, and I just have to lay in the dark, or I won't even be able to function tomorrow. But then I was up early today, hit the Goodwill, got a whole bunch of work done in the morning, and then we spent the afternoon at Dave & Buster's with my kid and had a good afternoon, and now I'm here, and I can't breathe through my nose. I think it's like always like the end of the summer and the beginning of the summer I get really bad. I don't know if that's like the plants are changing and the pollen. Probably that's what it is, because I grew up in Arizona in the desert, this Pennsylvania trees and actual plants. I don't think my body likes it. But anyway, Dennis, good for you. That is how to hustle. I really wish I could hustle like that all the time, but I can't. And again, for those of you that are disabled, don't be hard on yourselves. See, when you see people like Dennis, or I guess Casey and Jamie Pace are good examples too. They're workaholics. They work a lot. They're very dedicated folks. But if you have a disability, you can't expect yourself to work at that level. You want to get close to that level as much as you can, but you can't expect yourself to do what an able-bodied person does. So just don't be hard on yourself on the days that you have to take it a little bit easier. Just don't let it become a habit or an excuse. Dave Ramsey way. Live like no one else later so you can live like no one else now so you can live like no one else later. Yeah. Humidity, stress, pollen. Yeah, probably all of these things and more. All right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. If you think of any questions later, any comments that you forgot to say during the live show, you can always come back and leave a comment down below. I do answer each and every comment I get on the channel with asterisk that if it's approved. So if you want to say something terribly rude or be a troll, your comment's never going to get through. But if you have, positive things to add to the community and the channel and serious questions, I do answer everybody. I do get behind. Fastest way to get a hold of me is in our Facebook group, the Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod. The link to join the Facebook group is down in the description box below. You can go in there and post and tag me anytime. I usually get back to you within a couple of hours. If you missed any part of the show, feel free to come back and watch the replay, which should be up in about 10 minutes. It usually takes about 10 minutes to upload. And join the Facebook group. Smash the like button. I almost forgot to ask for that. You guys, that does help the channel. It helps the video be seen by more people, and I kind of feel like this is a video a lot of people need to see. They may not want to see it, but they need to. So give it a thumbs up. Help it get out there into the world. And, if you haven't already and you'd like to, please subscribe to our channel and help us feed a hungry hippo. And hit the little bell so that next time I go live, you're absolutely notified that I am live. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're at Flippin' Hippos across all social media. Thank you, everyone who joined me tonight, whether you were here for the whole time or popped in to say hello. It all matters so much to me that you guys give me any of your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging out with me. You guys are the best. Until next time, go be productive. Go make some money. Stop making excuses. And I'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.